So really the question isn't actually about even LGBT couples. The question should be, what is the nature of sexuality in the eternities?
And what will the eternities look like in our society?
And if we had that debate for the past 15 years and we figured that out, maybe this whole subject would have been avoided.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Midnight Mormons. I am your host, Cardon Ellis, and today I am joined in the studio by a couple of friends. We've got Kwaku L, Barad Witbeck, and Russell M. Nelson's personal bodyguard, Edmund Thomas. And it's really interesting. Recently, the church issued a statement here about a bill that's going through Congress that, it hits the hot topic of gay marriage, and we want to address it because we thought it was good. Brad, take it away.
Well, I just think it's really, really cool that it's a bill that's actually protecting LGBTQ people in a really solid way while maintaining the rights of religious people at the same time. You never see that. So this is great. This is awesome to see that.
It does seem like a rock'em sock'em boppers war that is a little bit winner take all. It's like defensive marriage, screw you, Domo, what? Or else like, you are a bad person and a bigot and a hateful homophobe. You know what I'm saying? It does kind of seem a little bit binary, right?
Yeah.
It's funny. Look, so I feel like I have an interesting perspective on this, as I think a lot of the religious versus LGBT debate is mostly a Gen X and baby boomer thing, because that's like when it's really their fight. Like I grew up in Houston, which is pretty diverse. I did musicals in San Francisco, and I live in Utah. So I've kind of experienced, and when you do that, you kind of experience that everyone's the same. You want to grab a bite to eat. You want to see the Will Ferrell movie, and then you want to, hope you're not single for November. That's literally kind of just how life is, whether you're gay or straight or whatever. And when I was in San Francisco, I would talk to people all the time. And they found out I was LDS. And obviously that question would come up. Because they'd be like, yeah, well, dude, my parents said that, like, Mormons were bad because you guys had, like, a Prop 8 or something. Like, what was that about? And like, at the time, like, I don't really know. Like, and I have to go look up on Google what happened because it was, like, way, way back when.
I didn't have to look it up on Google. I just lived
it.
You
lived it. Yeah, you were there.
Anyway.
But, like, when I would explain, they would say, okay, how come your church doesn't do gay marriages? And I would say, well, I mean, like, so we're different than other Christians because we believe that we become gods. And when I would say that, they would just be like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, so we believe every person literally becomes like a god, and God made us in his image. We believe he's like a human being, not like an ethereal, misty, like he's literally a guy. He has a body of flesh and bone. Yeah. And we also think that we're all his literal children. And we think that divinity has a physical aspect to it. And the soul is the spirit and body combined. And able to become a god in the highest kingdom, you have to be able to make babies. So we believe that there's like a biological component to godhood. And because that seems to be how God revealed himself to Joseph Smith and what was put into the scriptures, it would be unfair if we married two guys in heaven and said, great, now you're going to be gods, and they get to heaven and we still operate on the same physical, biological baseline.
And we would trap them in heaven without the ability to eternally progress into parents.
Right.
Like
it would be cruel and mean.
Yeah.
And so, like, I would explain that, and they would go, oh, I just kind of thought you guys were like Baptists.
Yeah.
Like, I thought you were mean. Yeah. Because if you don't believe in that, right? If you don't believe that the eternal law, which predates our God's authority, is to create gods, and there is a biological divine aspect to that, then you kind of just believe that God made gay people gay just to mess with them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you kind of believe that. And also, the highest layer of heaven, that's still debated within our church whether that's like a state of ascension or if that's like a planet. That's still up for debate. But we don't believe if you're gay or if you have a gay marriage, you're going to burn in hell forever.
Yep.
We don't believe like any of that stuff. And I think when I was able to communicate that with people, they're always like, oh, that actually makes sense. But when we don't get into like the deepness of it, that's when it gets a little bit like murky and everything.
Yeah.
And so bills like this I think they're cool because one, I mean, the culture war, like the boomer culture war is over. Like people just kind of want to do what they want to do.
Yeah, when you read the headline, what did you say? Is this the church just...
Oh, is this a church admitting the gays won?
No, you said, is this the church admitting that the culture war is over?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, the culture war was over when Modern Family aired. And every Mormon family I know was watching it. You know what I'm saying? They're like, those two uncles are so funny, brother. Like, come on. You know, so I think that's kind of where we're at. And ultimately... we're all going to wake up one day and realize the same system that subjugated LGBT people and knew that the AIDS outbreak was going to happen and let thousands and thousands die is the same institution that is poisoning our water, that subjugates people by religion and race. We're all going to recognize that the same boot is on top of all of us, and when we unite, we can take them down and actually build the freedom of the world that we'd like. We can all enjoy our rights and privileges together, but instead we're being manipulated to think it's us versus them.
Are you suggesting that no matter which one gets elected, that the homeless stay homeless and the bombs keep dropping?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so...
now, Ed, I think, has a...
Yeah, Ed had a comment. Make it fast, Ed.
Yes, just the...
You're a bodyguard, not a philosopher.
Yeah, I know. I know. The
Ed's the smartest one here.
The church angle, and the LA team loves coming up here and working for free for you guys. They really enjoy it.
Yeah, the church offers a lot of money in kind, quid pro quo, for us to shill for them in exchange for very expensive
David A. Bednar got me out of jail.
Oh, my gosh.
I've never been to jail.
Okay, just to correct.
The psych ward.
Because of David A.
Was
Bednar.
it Holland that pulled some strings to get you out of it?
He was like, under no circumstances will Kwaku be locked behind bars without sunlight or vitamin D to fill it.
And just to correct, my team works for free, and we have 11 guys, and we rotate, and 2 girls, and they work for free. They're the LA team. We have Chicago team, Manhattan team, Salt Lake City.
Hey, dude, don't be giving it away, Doc.
Yeah, okay.
Give us your thought, Doc.
So in my ward and stake, we do have active gay Latter-day Saints. I would say, based on my discussions with them, they are law of chastity obeyers, and some are temple recommend holders. And I think the key with this...
Yeah, believe it or not, they exist, guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And obviously this is Los Angeles. Yeah. And
you're right. Everything exists here.
Yeah. And everything exists here. But the amount of love that the people in my ward and stake have for children of God, above all else, uber alles, is true and real. These are people that have been converted to the gospel of Jesus Christ, people who understand the eternal paradigm of going through life's learning, education, and steps, and learning discipline, because it's as essential as a lot of the other stuff we've been asked to do. There's not a commandment that says be disciplined, but if you look at all the commandments, they all say be disciplined. And they are more than happy to understand that this just happens to be something that they are attracted to. It would probably be pretty fair to say most men would.
You know what's kind of funny? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just noticed something, and I'm going to toss to Brad here, just because we said we were going to talk about this bill, and we haven't even mentioned a single word of it or the name of it yet, and we're like 10 minutes into the podcast. But I give you credit, Ed, for a security professional. You're the only one that this whole time has looked straight into the camera while you're talking. He actually looked straight into the camera. I was like, dude, you missed your calling in life, dog.
Well,
give up the Colt 1911 and let's give you a microphone, brother, and make you like a broadcast journalism major or something.
So I was going to say, we're used to looking straight down the barrel. and without flinching, squeezing. And all I know is I can, at 100 yards, I shoot 18 inches high, and I've got a kill. And that's all I know.
That's all I know. I'm a machine.
240 grains, by the way.
And, that's funny. Okay, so Brad, let us know what's going on here with this thing.
Okay, so basically, the church put out this statement where they said that they start off just saying, look, the doctrine of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints related to marriage between a man and a woman is well known and will remain unchanged. Now, we are grateful for the continuing efforts of those who work to ensure the Respect for Marriage Act We are grateful for the continuing efforts of those who work to ensure the Respect for Marriage Act includes appropriate religious freedom protections while respecting the law and preserving the rights of our LGBTQ brothers and sisters. We believe this approach is the way forward. As we work together to preserve the principles and practices of religious freedom, together with the rights of LGBTQ individuals, much can be accomplished to heal relationships and foster greater understanding.
You know what? Like, I think this smacks of like a 1990s or a 1970s PR release, but finally in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of like, okay, cool. You know, they throw a bone to the base that wants to know whether or not we're going woke or not. And they say, look, you guys know what our doctrine is. That's not changing. However, at the same time, we want to make sure that, you know, our LGBTQ brothers and sisters got the respect they deserve because they're children of God. And like, this doesn't have to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they just made it easy and simple, and it didn't have to be hard, and it covered all the bases.
And I think it's honestly because they learned a lot from the situation with Prop 8. Because
are you suggesting California Mormons were the sacrificial lambs at the altar of boomer ivory tower, detached from society-ism?
That's not necessarily.
We were sacrificed.
Yes, I know.
At
but
the
look,
altar of PR, dude.
but here's the thing. This was never about hate, right? That always bugs me when people are like, "Oh, well, the church hates gay people, and that's why they did Prop 8." No, if you say that, you just fundamentally don't understand the legal reasons for why they were involved in this in the first place. My dad was a bishop. I was like, what, 12? I don't even know. I was a kid, but I remember him talking about this.
Dude.
What?
Study World War I. When World War I started, the machine gun was so different. They were sending cavalry charges at machine guns, and the generals just didn't know what to do, so they just kept on throwing more soldiers at it. There was like one day when 20,000 people died that were like Parisian elites and college students and people that still viewed war as like this glorious thing that you did while you were in college, and it's called the Massacre of the Innocents.
Oh,
like,
man.
it was such a bloody thing at the beginning of World War I before they discovered trench warfare that it's literally called the Massacre of the Innocents. 2008 California Mormons was the Massacre of the Innocents, dude. I'm just telling you, that's what it was.
And here's the thing. I think what was going on was the church was actually trying to do something very similar at the time. And then the optics of it got twisted in a way that just threw LDS people under the bus, because it was never about saying, hey, we want to stop rights of LGBTQ individuals. It was just what's being said here. They wanted to preserve the religious freedoms that they had, right? And make sure, because my dad, the way he explained it to me was, look, we need to clarify things in a way that helps us understand that we're not going to have...
They could have shut down temples. With the constitutional change of how you define marriage, they could have shut down LDS
and
temples.
Sued all sorts of bishops for not going to
and taken away the tax-exempt status of the church. There's major legal implications of this,
so I think what we're seeing here is the church is saying, hey, cool, we've got to make sure that as we are defending our own religious freedoms, we're also showing what our goal is here so that we don't end up offending people or even letting people twist what we've said in a way that's malicious, right? I think they've gotten better. But it's honestly, this is very similar to the style of thing that they were approaching Prop 8 with. They were going with the current law of the land and saying, we're going to establish our religious freedoms.
Also,
right?
a big difference
This is the same move.
Yeah, a big difference now, too, is, who knows? Maybe the same church bureaucrat that wrote what they call the policy of, I won't give them the word, but maybe the same church PR bureaucrat that wrote the November policy 5 years ago is the same church bureaucrat that wrote this. And maybe he is getting better or she is getting better or whatever. But you know what else is getting better? There was no pro-Mormon voices like this channel or like some of the others out there that say, hey, hold on a second. You anti-Mormons can't go and say that online. That's not true. You're lying about us. We're not that way. There wasn't that bulwark set up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when I was on Saints Unscripted, I had this conversation with a guy. We did one of the live meetups for Saints Unscripted.
Yeah.
And he wanted to know about the LGBT subject. And we're talking everything, and I kind of explained, and it was like, well, okay, what you're saying makes sense, but how come Boyd K. Packer and your apostles would say homophobic stuff? And I said, did Boyd K. Packer say anything different than your uncle at Thanksgiving. And the guy laughed. Because regardless of your religion, that's just how dudes his age talk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's just a cultural thing more than anything.
A 79-year-old who's like, I don't know about these homosexuals. That's not a Mormon thing. That's how they all are.
Yeah, you got a Vietnam vet in your family?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's
Like,
As if it's like uniquely the church making people this way. It's
When-
like, no, this is just older people.
when I dated the daughter of the police chief of Monroe, Utah, the most conservative and most Caucasian city in all of Utah, when I went to church with her on Sunday in her home ward, it was a bunch of cotton tops, old people, and we walk in holding
called
hands, and they
cotton
stared,
tops?
and one guy was staring like, and the other woman was like, wow, we haven't had a colored fellow walking here in front. I wasn't mad. I was like, you know what? I chose to date a girl who lives in Monroe, Utah. I knew this was happening. And you know what? It's fine.
Oh, that's funny.
And
As
the
you
big-
call them, cotton tops?
Yeah, cotton top. You ever heard of that?
I know. I love these Southern phrases. I went to BYU, and I just Jeffrey Lofton. Shout out to Jeffrey Lofton. All right, married Janessa Lofton. He was this super charismatic guy from the South. All right, and it's actually it's hilarious. He married a friend of mine named Janessa, and I literally at one point asked him to write down all the Southern phrases that he knew, because he would say the most hilarious stuff in the middle of a conversation. Like, one of our buddies went to try and get a number from a chick, and he said, "Oh, he's like that, like a duck on a June bug." You know, I was just like a duck on a June bug? Like, what the heck? And I just envisioned this duck like chasing a June bug in a swamp, right? And so he would say the most hilarious stuff that were like Southern phrases. So when you say cotton tops, I'm like, I never thought of calling an old person cotton tops. But whenever you go to the old people wards and you're sitting in the back, you're right. It's just like, like little Q-tips are just like, popping out from the stands.
Yep.
I mean, the pews. That is so funny. So, okay, I'm sorry, Brad, I interrupted you. Finish your thought about how good and reasonable and well measured you think this is.
Oh, I just think it's funny because we're seeing really different reactions online from people. Some are like, this is a good step in the right direction. Other people are like, we're admitting defeat. And other people are just all over the place with what they're saying with it. But I think it's really consistent with the way that the church was acting around Prop 8 in the first place.
Well, in terms of holding fast to the doctrine.
And
I don't think it was consistent in the sense that I don't think the church was prepared for the blowback they would get,
But
because the
also
church office building was...
But they were also working with the existing law of the land, right? Which is
Okay.
Article of Faith 12. That's what we do. And so the church is working with the existing law of the land.
You're giving him too much credit.
Dude,
I won't do that.
The
I am
solution-
jaded.
The solution
I'm angry.
is simple. Solution simple. If you want to make sure there's no more people who are gay who want to get married in the temple, and the church says no and their feelings are hurt, and all we have to do is really just explain what our doctrine is.
Mm-hmm.
Because one, it's weird enough where it'll get a lot of people who want to get married in the temple to not want to do it anyway. Two, when you explain what we believe, you realize it's not normal Christianity. Like,
And it's not hateful
it's
to
not.
say no.
Like, we have
don't
a
want
different concept of the nature of God. And that concept involves biology and sex in heaven. Okay? I'm just going to say it. It involves it.
Yeah.
If we explain that, as weird as it may be, and we're worried about weirding people out, we all have the same underwear on in this room. So let's not act like we don't do weird. Let's explain what we believe. Because when we're honest about what we believe, people are going to go, okay, so you're just doing a different thing.
And this is
This isn't homophobia.
Yeah, this is my last thought. I've actually adopted what you have said about, hey, if you believe in eternal progression, that we can all become gods and that procreation is part of that godly process, you would never want to sentence somebody to a life of, basically, for lack of a better term, spiritual infertility in the eternities with no with no children, by sealing on earth what is in heaven through a gay temple sealing, right? And when you do explain it in that well-measured way, people are oftentimes like, oh wow, that does make sense. Yeah, you're not, as you said, Baptists. You know what I'm saying? I have also said this. I've added upon, and this was always my sneaking suspicion, that whenever I talk to somebody, they always say, "Oh, wow, yeah, you're right. You're not just a hateful person." I would always tell people this. I'd say, "Look, yeah, we believe in eternal progression and eternal families, and that marriage is a sacred thing. But also, I personally am a little bit dubious of what we will take with us to heaven, because we know we will have eternal families and eternal relationships. But how much does our current concept of sex actually play into that? Because if you think about it, I love my wife. She's smoking hot, hottest chick on the planet. But we're both children of God. And when we go to church, it's well known that we're both brothers and sisters. And you think about it, it's kind of weird thinking that I'm having sex with my wife, but she's also my sister?
Cardon,
Like, well, no, hold on.
you spent too much time with that friend from the South.
Oh, it's Arkansas. It's the mid-south. No, I'm just kidding. But if you think about it, it's kind of odd if we really take the bird's eye view that God has of these are all my children, to think that there's a bunch of brothers and sisters having sex down here, which tells us, you know what? We know from the scriptures that when we come to earth, we take on this tabernacle of clay. And this tabernacle of clay, aka our bodies that we use during this mortal probation, okay, have diseases, have weaknesses, have ailments. I'm not here to say that sexuality is an ailment, okay? I'm not some, Catholic priest from the 14th century that's saying you must be celibate. But I'm here to say that I believe it's different in heaven. I think when we go to heaven, I will have instead of thinking, dude, my wife's the hottest chick on the planet, first, I'll probably be thinking, there is my beloved partner. And I also think gay people with their attractions will probably view partnership differently. You know what I'm saying? They will view it with a more godly lens of, I want eternal procreation and gender is eternal. And when we're stripped of these lusts, which the scriptures say we have as part of our moral probation, we're stripped of lust. Look, I'll tell you right now, any pastor that wants to go out there and I feel unfairly vilify gay partnerships is, it's just lust. Oftentimes, one of my pushbacks on them is actually, yeah, well, dude, I got to tell you right now, you see my wife? I didn't pick the ugliest chick in the room. I didn't pick the sweet spirit. Like, I'm sorry, but my relationship with my wife is like, if I'm honest with myself, probably like 75% lust too, dude. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, like we're all sinners if it comes to the lust category, right? And when you think that those physical weaknesses will be gone, I think all of us will be surprised what eternal companionships look like afterwards and how they feel different.
From the perspective of our own feelings? Is that what
from the perspective of our own feelings and our own lusts. And when stripped of that, when straight people are stripped of their heterosexual lust, and when homosexual people are stripped of their homosexual lust, and when polyamorous people are stripped of their polyamorous lust, and all the other whatever people are stripped of whatever lust they have, I think it will surprise us what gift we have from God in the eternities, no longer feeling that way. And we'll all look back and say, wow, that whole earthly lust thing was wild, wasn't it?
Yeah, because there's really two ways it can go. There's either we effectively do lose sexuality to some extent, or we just keep it. And you ready for a radical thought?
I think we'll keep it, but it'll be so contextualized with the knowledge that we have.
Right before Kwaku's radical thought, I feel like we're going to keep it more than you're saying, Cardon, because the same sociality that exists here is what's going to exist with us in heaven. Yeah, it's a
sociality, but you don't think that, for example, if I have really bad stomach ulcers and cancers, I know when I rise up in the restoration, my body will be perfected and I won't have those. That's not a sociality.
And I don't think a sex drive is an ulcer.
No, but I think we will be surprised.
Brad.
Yeah.
You don't think a sex drive is an ulcer? You ever been in a bar at 3 a.m.?
Okay, you've been in the South
because you got to get a girl home, and it ain't a cute one, Brad.
Oh, my God.
Stupid shit. I've never been there either. But my radical thought is this. I talked about this actually with a Church of the Firstborn guy.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay.
And he was like, I think there's going to be gay couples in heaven. And I was like, explain. He said, look. If your romantic attraction is a part of who you are, and let's say all gay couples go to the terrestrial kingdom, because the celestial kingdom is reserved for creating spirits. If they're around each other and they still like each other, how is it different from what they have now? And I was like I literally was like, wait a minute. It's like, it's not like God's going to divide them and have like 2 planets where half the gays go here and the other half go here. And there's like an angel making sure, like segregating the 2 planets.
Yeah, there's not
like
going to be a cherubim with a flaming sword at the gate.
Exactly.
Like, "Rah!" You know?
It's like, look, if we're operating under this assumption that our romantic attractions are going to stay with us eternally, and that means gay couples are probably still just going to be doing their thing. They're still going to like each other in the next life, if they're in the terrestrial kingdom. And I was like, so a Church of the Firstborn guy, which is supposed to be way more right-wing conservative and radical than our church.
Yeah, what is Church of the Firstborn? Is that
It's
an
like
evangelical thing?
It's like
they broke off our church in
they're a fundy group.
in 1978. But right before, they broke off before the priesthood ban. So they just did it because they're like very hardcore Brighamite church. Like very, very much. Like they believe Adam God. They believe all that stuff. Yeah. So I was talking to a guy that, okay?
Do they still have like, muzzle-loaded muskets they shoot deer with like on the Oregon Trail for their food?
I am not sure. I don't know.
Okay.
Most likely, though.
But
if we're being fair, yeah.
And so even in the other LDS Mormon churches,
Yeah.
there's a debate. And he said, I think there's going to be gay couples in heaven. He said, Kwaku, explain to me. He said, operating under the assumption that your romantic and sexual attraction stays with you.
Yeah.
1, celestial kingdom literally means to be able to make babies and create spirit children. Gay couples know they can't do that in this life. So naturally it translates with the biological concept of divinity. They can't do it in the next life. But they can be around each other. They can hang out. They can do their thing. And where do we put people like that can't make spirit children? What level of ascension or kingdom are they in?
I don't feel comfortable with the phraseology of where do we put people because it's not us putting them anywhere.
I know.
But I get what you're saying. Where's the natural landing point?
And I was like, so really the question isn't actually about even LGBT couples. The question should be, what is the nature of sexuality in the eternities?
And what will the eternities look like in our society?
And if we had that debate for the past 15 years and we figured that out, maybe this whole subject would have been avoided.
Or at least a lot of the hurt.
Yes,
and the,
way more.
But there's people that have the spirit of contention that have been riling it up.
But on the same token, you do have people who are just homophobic out there,
true.
and just
And I would like to name names and states and never take personal responsibility for anything associated with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And completely externalize that.
Yeah.
And absolve myself as I go to sleep at night, envisioning that I am a perfect person.
No, yeah, those people are real. Yeah.
And I think that one of the things, though, that's a really great antidote with this is the way that the church has been talking about identity and the way that we need to identify first and foremost as children of God. Because that is the key to all of this.
And that's why I really I want to sleep on him because that letter he wrote about the jab, but I can't sleep on him as a prophet when it comes to him coming out and saying, we are first children of God. Mm-hmm. Second, children of the covenant. Third, disciples of Christ, and everything else comes afterwards, which I absolutely love. Go, Russell M. Nelson. I'm going to get you a gift, Russell M. Nelson. I'm going to get you a gift, and I'm going to send it to you in the church office building, and that's going to be its own cool podcast because I think you guys have an idea what I'm talking about because I've talked about getting it before. I think it'd be a really cool episode, so maybe we'll do a whole podcast on that later. But anyway.
Any final thoughts from Ed?
Final thoughts from Ed.
Yeah, so...
Oh, wait, Doug, just give it to the Salt Lake City team, bro. Can you do a little courier service?
Yeah, of course. But honestly, having heard your plan, I like your plan. And you've shared with me the plans for 2023, 24, 25, and they sound very exciting. And by the way, all you people of a little extra wealth, consider a little bit to the Midnight Mormons.
Yeah, man.
Because... if you knew what I knew about...
The church pays us millions, bro.
If you knew what I knew about 2023, 24, and 25, you'd be excited. crummy TV show and a crummy movie is still $20 million. Not that they're doing a crummy TV show and a crummy movie or need $20 million, but stuff is expensive.
No,
Okay.
shut up. We need it all.
Okay.
We need it all.
But
This is expensive.
That's besides the point. Baby boomers. I'm a baby boomer, by the way. I am Corbin Valuza's exact age. We have a similar life plan. He's like my evil twin. We joined the church. I'm a convert, just like Corbin. He turned out to be an antichrist. I turned out to be a pro-Christ. And that's still again.
Don't glorify him.
Still again. Besides the point on this, since I'm a convert who has attended Catholic Mass, love it. Shabbat service, Jewish. Calvary Chapel and our church, and settled on this church, I can tell you that there is nothing that I would not do, and to do, that would keep me away from partaking of the emblems of the Lord's Last Supper. That is my entire existence for the week, is cleansing myself to prepare myself as well, and the gay friends, and we are friends in my ward and in my stake, would tell you the exact same thing.
All right.
Nothing is going to keep them from the emblems of the Lord's Last Supper. It'll take some sacrifice. You're not entitled, and they don't feel like they're entitled when they understand the atonement instead of understanding what that sadist John DeLynn is trying to tell them.
Okay. Doug, let Brad wrap it up.
Now-
We got to go, Doug.
Say what you want to about boomers, Cardon, but they understand the principle of obedience.
Oh.
They got that down. That's something I think our generation struggles with a little bit more. But
Yeah, you and that whole, personal responsibility thing. I like it. I like it. Are you the advocate for Ed?
oh, I guess so. I guess I am now. But
Love is
but
advocacy.
here's the yeah. So here's the thing. I think this is a really good response. I think that there might be people who are confused by it in a little bit of a way because they might feel like it's different, but it's very similar to the way the church has always operated. This is protecting religious liberties and doing so in a way that can enable us to respect the laws of the land as they are.
Yeah.
So
I thought this was good. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. If you thought there was anything that needed to be added, do you think they did a good job? Just tell us what your takeaway is. Let's continue that conversation there in the comments, and let us know what you think. This is Midnight Strike Through Mormons. We'll see you guys in the next program. Hey guys, Cardon Ellis here. Thanks for watching the video. Now, before we go on to the next video, we gotta talk. We've got a ton of subscribers for which we are very grateful, but unfortunately, I'm going over the analytics and less than 15% of you guys have clicked on the bell icon next to the subscribe button. Now, besides being subscribed to this channel, you need to click that bell icon so you get alerted to every video we drop. We're making about 3 videos a week, dropping them once every other day, and you're not gonna see all of them unless you've clicked on that bell icon. So please make sure you like and you share and you subscribe and you also click on the bell icon. See you guys in the next program.